You got to stop trying to buy your way out of bad habits because your tools don't actually suck. Unless they do. Some tools do suck. One of the things that will hold you back as a hobbyist woodworker is comparing yourself to people you see on YouTube who have all sorts of gorgeous tools and huge spaces to work in, and thinking that because you don't have those tools, you can't be a good woodworker. You have to stop doing that. Most of those people are working with sponsorships with companies who are paying them or giving them free products so that they can use them on their channels. Therefore, they're not going out on a limited budget and spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on those tools. Now, I'm not saying this is every YouTuber, but a lot of them get that kind of situation handed to them. Or they have sponsorships with Rockler or with other big brands who, again, give them money as well as stuff so that they can deck out their shop, all in a goal to make you buy that stuff. And if you're sitting there saying, I don't have the woodpecker's tools or the festool tools, guess what? Most people don't. It's not like all of us are just independently wealthy and we can just have festool falling from the heavens and bequeathing us with amazing gear. That would be great. It's not realistic. So don't compare yourself. Buy whatever you can afford. You can get great stuff at Harbor Freight. You can get great deals on Craigslist. I recently got a Powermatic dust collector from a guy in my city who was super nice about it, and he had wanted to start woodworking. He bought really expensive things to start and then realized he didn't even like woodworking. So he sold it to me, and it's like a $900 dust collector, and I think he sold it for me for 175 bucks. Huge deal. Wonderful get for me. But that's me spending $175 of my money. Fortunately, not $900, but I would have never bought that otherwise. And Powermatic's not coming around sponsoring me, but they do sponsor other channels. So when they have that gorgeous 8-inch jointer and they're like, you could never use a 6-inch jointer, 8-inch jointers are where they're at. Let it go. Use your 6-inch jointer. If you have a really small benchtop jointer, do what you can with what you have. And I think you'll be surprised. You can do a lot with what you have. Similarly, SawStop's amazing, but it's really expensive to get a SawStop. I think it's worth it because I don't want to lose my fingers because this isn't how I make money. Shocker, my channel with 1,300 subscribers is not how I make money. So you might want to instead invest in making sure your fingers are safe, but if you can't, that's fine. And then one of the most important points I'll make about the tools conversation is that it's really not about the better tools becoming the better woodworker. It's about the fact that over your time as a woodworker, especially a hobbyist woodworker, you practice a lot, you make a lot of mistakes, and you get better. So even if your tools are getting better, it's not really because the tools are getting better, it's because you're getting better as a woodworker, and it just coincides that your tools are also getting better because maybe you can now afford them because you're starting to take on a few projects and clients and things like that. This is not to say that you shouldn't get good tools, right? And if you can afford them, have at it. That's amazing. If you have the money to get great tools, buy great tools. The experience is better. I will say that. They oftentimes are quieter. They often have better ergonomics. They offer you a lot more precision sometimes as well. So are there benefits to nice tools? Absolutely. If you can afford them, go for it. But for hobbyist woodworkers who are just starting out, get what you can afford and don't compare yourself to people on YouTube. Most importantly, if you're a new hobbyist woodworker thinking about tools and what to get, there is a moniker out there that you should buy once, cry once. And I think that's fine, again, if you have the money that you just buy the nicest thing. But I think it's also really bad advice because, again, like the guy I bought the dust collector from, you might fall out of love with woodworking, and it can get kind of tricky to sell like a $4,000 jointer because there's not that many people who want a $4,000 jointer. So you might end up having to sell it at a pretty significant loss. Now, there are some woodworking tools that have pretty good resale, but just realize that it's not really a game that you want to play where you're buying the nicest things and then suddenly really tighten the budget and realizing you don't even like the hobby and you have to sell it sooner than later. And then you're selling it under the urgency of having to sell it and you take a loss. Use the tools you have and don't compare yourself to people on YouTube who who are making these just incredible pieces, and all props to them. But they often have really nice tools. And here's a little secret. If they can say, don't waste your money buying these tools, they might not have actually wasted their money buying any tools.